your lawyers are stupid. It's like he's like being nice here. He's like, your lawyers are really stupid.
Blake Lively is freaking out in court after judge brutally denied her ridiculous request.
So we're gonna slap that down. You obviously cannot do that.
She literally demanded Justin Baldoni's entire life history, phone records, doctor visits, and even his location data, proving she's completely lost the plot.
We have to distinguish between the two, what a standard court protective order is and what Blake Lively's team is asking for, which is an attorney's eyes only designation.
The judge shut her down instantly, exposing her pathetic legal tactics for what they are.
That is the kindest way that a judge can say to you that your lawyers are stupid. It's like he's like being nice here. He's like, your lawyers are really stupid.
Blake Lively just got completely annihilated in court, and it was glorious to watch. If you thought she and Ryan Reynolds could just bully their way through this legal circus, think again. Judge Lewis Lyman just obliterated her latest legal stunt, making it clear that her case is as flimsy as her attempt at playing victim.
You are not able to hold a logical thought.
And the best part? She had a full-blown meltdown after realizing that her bizarre, overreaching, and downright creepy subpoena requests were getting shut down in real time.
If the judge actually grants that kind of a protection order, the attorneys would become the judge of what exactly could be designated AEO. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
So Blake Lively walks into court thinking she's about to get away with her absurd requests, only for Judge Lewis Lyman to take one look at her subpoena and basically say, "Are you kidding me?" Lively's legal team tried to strong-arm their way into getting 2.5 years worth of Baldoni's personal phone records. Yes, you read that right. 2.5 years.
The judge in Blake Lively's case just slapped down their psychopathic request for 2.5 years worth of every message that Justin Baldoni and Justin Heath and the PR agents have ever sent to everybody, plus location data. We knew that was going to happen.
And not just text messages. They wanted everything. Calls, text logs, location data, even who he was talking to and when. Imagine the level of delusion it takes to think this was going to fly. The judge straight up called her subpoena overly intrusive, which is just the legal way of saying, "This is insane, sit down."
Blake Lively had modified the request, did not meet those standards, that the request was overly intrusive and disproportionate to the needs of the case.
He pointed out that her request wasn't just a gross violation of privacy, but completely unnecessary. Why? Because she was trying to get personal information from before the so-called smear campaign even started.
You are not able to hold a logical thought, but guess what? I, as a judge, I am able to hold a logical thought, so we're gonna slap that down. You obviously cannot do that.
And this wasn't just about Baldoni. Oh no, Blake wanted dirt on everyone. She wanted all communications between Baldoni and anyone he's ever spoken to. Imagine thinking you can crawl into someone's personal life for nearly 3 years just because you can't back up your own accusations with real evidence. The judge wasn't having it. He basically said, "Nice try, but no."
And he felt that the subpoenas of the Wayfarer party's phone records, even as Blake Lively had modified the request, did not meet those standards.
And just when you think it can't get any more embarrassing, it absolutely does. The judge then clowns her legal team for trying to retroactively justify this nonsense. Lively's whole legal strategy at this point is throw everything at the wall and hope something sticks. Now, if you think Blake's lawyers took this L with dignity, think again. Instead of admitting that they just got destroyed in court, they actually tried to spin this as a win.
He says even though Lively has narrowed her request to exclude the content of calls or messages, the phone records themselves will still contain sensitive information regarding doctors, psychologists, or even acquaintances.
They ran to the media, twisting the judge's words, claiming that he simply asked them to narrow their request. Oh, really? Because last time I checked, being told you can't invade someone's privacy for 2.5 years straight isn't exactly a win. But of course, because they have no shame, they immediately rush to file more subpoenas. Girl, take the L and go home. The court literally just told you your request was a violation of privacy and your first move is to double down? That's like burning your house down and then trying to sue the fire department for not letting you live in the ashes.
But according to Lively's own complaint, this negative campaign did not begin until August of 2024. And then he cites her own filings and says, ma'am, you filed a lawsuit saying, quotes, that the beginning of the plan to destroy Lively's reputation began in August of 2024.
And let's be real, this is nothing but desperation at this point. If Blake had real evidence that Baldoni orchestrated this so-called smear campaign, she wouldn't need to dig through his personal records like a stalker. But wait, it gets even worse. Because just when you thought Blake Lively's case couldn't crumble any harder, leaked audio just exposed her hypocrisy in the most humiliating way possible.
Now you're requesting to see everything dating back from 2022. He writes, it is therefore unclear how communications to and from Wayfarer parties in 2022 would reveal individuals who participated in the campaign.
This is where everything falls apart for Blake and Ryan. Remember when they were acting all innocent, claiming they had nothing to do with Baldoni losing business deals and getting dropped by WME? Well, turns out they were lying. Enter Ari Emanuel, Hollywood's biggest power agent, who just got caught red-handed admitting that he personally fired Baldoni because of Blake and Ryan's demands. And you know what's even crazier? This bombshell wasn't even supposed to get out. The Freakonomics podcast mysteriously lost its recording. But oops, a journalist in the room happened to secretly capture the audio anyway.
And you're going to hear something that Ari Emanuel says that is going to be extremely problematic for his clients, who he's quote unquote ride or die for. You're going to hear him say that.
In the leaked tape, Emanuel not only admits to dropping Baldoni, but he also completely trashes him. He doesn't even call him by his real name. He literally refers to him as Baloney. Imagine getting blacklisted from Hollywood because your former agent decided to mock you like a middle school bully.
Jed Wallace, he was not actually a party to the suit. Well, she will be able now to receive his messages for 4 months, to be able to see if phone calls took place for 4 months.
And then, to make things even more incriminating, Emanuel straight up confesses that he's ride or die for Blake and Ryan, which means they were 100% involved in getting Baldoni blacklisted.
It's not really fair. I've known Ryan and Blake for over a decade. They're really incredible people. In Hollywood, they have been incredibly successful. People work with them. They've never had any bad mojo out there and treated people badly.
Remember how they swore up and down that they had nothing to do with it? Yeah, well, this just exposed them as complete frauds. And what's even more pathetic is the way Emanuel frames this whole situation. He tries to act like Baldoni is some Hollywood villain, calling him a bad guy without providing a single shred of evidence. So let's get this straight. Baldoni is guilty just because Blake Lively says so? That's not how this works.
Justin Baldoni was hurt financially by what Blake Lively did with the rumors, and including with the New York Times, that he lost money and he lost opportunity.
And here's the kicker. This leaked audio basically proves Baldoni has a defamation case against Lively and Reynolds. The moment Emanuel said he fired Baldoni because of them, he admitted to costing him career opportunities. That's textbook career sabotage. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have spent this entire time playing the victims, when in reality, they were the ones pulling the strings behind the scenes. They wanted Baldoni blacklisted, and now they've been caught red-handed.
And let the process play itself out. These are good people that have been in the business for decades and have never had any bad press about them, and all the people they work with like them. And so, is this true what they're saying in that allegation? These are two bad guys.
So now, Lively is left scrambling because not only did the judge shut down her subpoena stunt, but now there's actual evidence that she's been weaponizing Hollywood power moves to ruin someone's career.
And that's Ari Emanuel, the CEO of WME, is now bragging that he dropped them. And he says his reason is because he's ride or die. Now remember, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have already denied. They said, oh, they had nothing to do.
It's honestly incredible to watch. Blake and Ryan thought they could manipulate the system, but instead, they're getting exposed left and right. She walked into this courtroom thinking she was about to drop a bomb, and instead, the bomb landed right on her head. Blake Lively thought she could bully her way through the legal system, but the judge roasted her, her lawyers embarrassed themselves, and now leaked audio has completely wrecked her credibility.
And they start acting like gangsters. He sounds like a gangster when he's talking, right? He has no respect for Baldoni, no respect for the process, and basically is saying everyone online needs to shut up. And we're not exactly shutting up, and we are following all of this. And obviously, if you are Brian Friedman and you see that this has leaked, you're like, yes, this is exactly what we needed.
Blake Lively's entire legal strategy is falling apart at the seams, and now she's so desperate that she's resorting to hiring literal ex-CIA operatives to clean up her mess. Yes, you heard that right. She and Ryan Reynolds just pulled in a guy with a government history of gaslighting the public to try and spin their complete courtroom failure into some kind of win. It's almost comical how far they're willing to go to keep up their innocent act.
First and foremost, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have hired former CIA agents with a proven track record of lying to the public, gaslighting the public.
At this point, Lively isn't even trying to pretend she's playing fair. Instead of admitting she has no case, she's gone full deep state mode and hired Nick Shapiro, a former CIA deputy chief of staff, whose entire job is to manipulate public perception.
But this is an actual headline right now in Variety. It reads that Blake Lively hires CIA alum for crisis PR in legal battle with Justin Baldoni.
This is the same guy who was infamously involved in spreading blatant lies about the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, when he and 50 other intelligence officials falsely labeled it Russian disinformation.
She's quietly working with Nick Shapiro, the CIA's former deputy chief of staff and senior advisor to former director John Brennan. So this guy, high up, just about as high up as you could possibly get.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate the irony here. Lively, who's claiming to be the victim of a smear campaign, just hired one of the biggest professional smear artists in modern history. The guy was so deep in government propaganda tactics that he literally lost his security clearance for pushing falsehoods. That's who she thinks will make her look like the innocent one here.
Baldoni case, they just sort of take out, smear, and destroy the reputations of people that they don't like, or people perhaps that their clients don't like. But the question is, who do they do that on behalf of? Who does it benefit when they tell perfectly curated lies to get people really upset, to get the public very upset?
And what exactly is Shapiro's job in all of this? To gaslight the public into believing Blake is the victim, not the aggressor. His mission is to attack the media critics who are rightfully pointing out how her entire case is falling apart. He's not here to prove her innocence. He's here to silence anyone exposing her hypocrisy.
Blake and Ryan, who for sure gave that information to Megan Twohey of the New York Times, have opted to use a former top guy at the CIA for PR. So what is he doing for them exactly, okay?
And of course, right after Shapiro enters the scene, what magically appears? A New York Times hit piece conveniently attacking Baldoni. Total coincidence, right? The same New York Times that has been infamous for pushing political narratives on command just happens to drop a hit piece perfectly aligned with Lively's legal strategy.
Remember, a massive part of the CIA's job, really the most important part of the CIA's job, is managing public relations, because we, the people, wouldn't agree to go to war unless they sold that idea to us. They need a crisis.
And let's not forget, Lively's team has been promising receipts for months now, but have yet to provide a single real piece of evidence proving Baldoni did anything wrong. Instead, they rely on character assassination and PR manipulation.
They are too rich and too connected to have to face any responsibility for their lives. They're just going to hire people who are more immoral than them to handle it.
If they had something solid, why would they need a former CIA agent to do their dirty work? Because, as everyone can see, this is nothing but a manufactured smear campaign, one that's now crumbling spectacularly.
And so this is a terrible look for Blake and Ryan Reynolds, but these two seem to be very intent on making every wrong move, in my opinion. Like, they truly believe they are too rich and too connected to have to face any responsibility for their lives.
But the real nail in the coffin for Blake Lively's legal disaster? Judge Lyman wasn't having any of it. If you thought the judge was harsh on her last time, this ruling was even more brutal. Not only did he completely shut down her invasive subpoena requests, but he also exposed the contradictions in her own case.
Blake Lively is dumb, and I mean really dumb. She has told on herself so many times, and people digging up old videos.
This was honestly embarrassing for Lively. She claimed in court that Baldoni's alleged smear campaign, but then had the audacity to demand phone records dating all the way back to 2022. Excuse me, what? The judge basically said, "So, you're telling me the smear campaign started in 2024, but you somehow need texts from 2 years before that? Make it make sense."
You guys started this lawsuit and you said that this campaign began in August 2024. And now you're suddenly asking me to see text messages dating back to 2022. You are not able to hold a logical thought.
It was a legal self-own of epic proportions because the judge flat out called her request illogical. And when a federal judge tells you your argument makes no sense, you know you're in trouble. And as if that wasn't bad enough, the judge also denied her access to Baldoni's private phone logs, completely shutting down her ridiculous attempt to stalk his personal life for nearly 3 years. Instead, the judge only allowed her to request records from August 2024 to December 2024, and only if they're directly related to the case.
The subpoenas requested all documents concerning ingoing and outgoing calls or text messages related to telephone numbers belonging to Wayfarer parties and related individuals.
Basically, he told her, "You can't go on a fishing expedition. If you have evidence, use it. If not, too bad." And the biggest slap in the face? The judge refused to grant her access to Wayfarer Studios' business records. This was a huge blow, because Lively's entire strategy relied on proving that Baldoni had some secret Hollywood conspiracy against her. But the judge saw right through it and said, nope, not happening.
They moved to squash it, and they said because what you're asking for is, quote, overly broad and invasive. So the court then ordered that they both meet and say, come back with something logical that you can agree to.
At this point, Lively's case is being dismantled piece by piece, and she has no one to blame but herself. If Blake Lively thought Hollywood was going to rally behind her, she was dead wrong. The public is turning on her, and fast. Candace Owens, who never holds back, completely obliterated Lively and Reynolds for their elitist arrogance.
That's my brother from another mother, and you're messing with my cousin, and I'm pregnant.
She straight up called them out for thinking they're untouchable, and for turning Hollywood into their personal political battlefield. She exposed them for what they are. A couple of privileged elites trying to manipulate the legal system for their own benefit.
We just read through this. We showed the public that's what you're doing. So I don't understand why I got name checked here. And then just to say, predictably, the media outlets picked up the same narrative. They're like, they got me out here looking like Regina George when she cuts her shirt.
Owens even pointed out how this entire fiasco isn't just about justice. It's about power. Lively and Reynolds aren't fighting for the truth. They're fighting to keep control over Hollywood's narrative.
I am under your skin. I'm so excited. I'm under their skin. Blake and Ryan are watching.
And the internet? Absolutely roasting Blake. Twitter Lashx has exploded with memes mocking her total meltdown in court. The phrase Blake Lively's Karen moment started trending after people compared her courtroom tantrum to a privileged meltdown over not getting what she wants. Even some of her own fans are starting to wake up and question whether she's actually weaponizing the Me Too movement for her personal vendetta.
And she explains at this Forbes Women's Summit about how she likes to come in essentially like a Trojan horse and take over a project.
And that's the worst thing that could happen to her, because once the public starts questioning the credibility of your accusations, your case is over before it even begins. Meanwhile, Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, is probably having the best week of his career. After this ruling, he called it a major victory because it exposed Lively's abusive legal tactics for what they are: desperate, manipulative, and totally baseless.
He needed to be like, yeah, I'm so powerful, Justin Baldoni, and he just said too much. And this would have been why they would have realized that this tape was not a good idea for their legal strategy. Like, you can't play the victim and pretend you had nothing to do with him being fired and then be like, yeah, I fired them because he's ride or die as soon as I found out about it and they told me about it.
And let's be real. At this point, Lively's case is falling apart so badly that she might actually be giving Baldoni a case for defamation. Her entire legal strategy has been about trying to destroy his reputation. But now that we have proof she was pulling the strings behind his blacklisting, she might end up facing real consequences.
And I'm not sure what argument they're making, because I'm not sure what argument they're ever making, because their entire lawsuit is just filled with contradictions.
This case started as Lively playing the victim, but now it's clear that she's the real aggressor. Her own legal team keeps embarrassing themselves, her PR tactics are getting exposed, and even Hollywood elites are struggling to defend her anymore.
Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation, which was just retrospectively an insane lie, an unbelievably bold lie.
She tried to play dirty, and now it's backfiring spectacularly. The judge humiliated her in court, the leaked audio proved her hypocrisy, and now public opinion is shifting against her. Blake Lively thought she could destroy Justin Baldoni with Hollywood influence and a few well-placed PR moves. But now, she's the one getting exposed. And this meltdown is only getting worse.
Blake's team filed for a slightly modified type of protection order that would include increased protections to third parties. Now, we covered this filing. I told you that essentially what was buried in it was what I would describe as the Taylor Swift clause.
Blake Lively's reputation is circling the drain, and there's no one left to pull her out. She thought she could throw her Hollywood weight around, destroy Justin Baldoni's career, and walk away unscathed. But now, she's trapped in the wreckage of her own legal disaster. And the worst part? Her so-called A-list friends are nowhere to be found. Remember when Blake Lively was Hollywood's golden girl? The sweet, charming actress who could do no wrong? Well, those days are officially over. Thanks to her own reckless legal tactics, she's now become Hollywood's biggest liability.
As TMZ is now reporting, of course witnesses are staying anonymous. They're terrified of threats and bullying. Now this smells like Blake's PR team trying to spin why they're not coming forward.
The silence from her A-list friends is deafening. Not a single major celebrity has publicly come to her defense. Where's Taylor Swift? Where's Gigi Hadid? Where's the Hollywood Girl Squad? Crickets. When Hollywood smells a sinking ship, they jump off before it pulls them under. And Lively's entire career is starting to smell like dead weight.
Blake Lively completely exposes herself. Her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors.
The industry is ruthless when it comes to scandals like this. No one wants to be associated with a failed smear campaign, especially when it's becoming painfully clear that Lively tried to ruin Baldoni's career based on weak accusations and media manipulation.
If the judge actually grants that kind of a protection order, the attorneys would become the judge of what exactly could be designated AEO. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
And let's not forget the elephant in the room. Her own legal team has been making mistake after mistake, and the public is starting to notice. This isn't about justice anymore. It's about Lively scrambling to save face as her case falls apart. While Lively is panicking, Baldoni is plotting his comeback, and this time, he's going for blood. Legal experts have already hinted that Baldoni has the perfect case for defamation. Thanks to Ari Emanuel's leaked audio, we now have proof that he was blacklisted because of Lively and Reynolds' influence. That alone is grounds for a lawsuit.
Ryan Reynolds became braggadocious. He needed to be like, yeah, I'm so powerful, Justin Baldoni, and he just said too much. And this would have been why they would have realized that this tape was not a good idea for their legal strategy. Like, you can't play the victim and pretend you had nothing to do with them being fired and then be like, yeah, I fired them because he's ride or die as soon as I found out about it and they told me about it.
But here's the kicker. Baldoni isn't just going after a public apology. He's looking at serious financial damages. Hollywood careers are worth millions, and Lively's smear campaign cost him major opportunities. If Baldoni decides to sue for career sabotage, Lively and Reynolds could be on the hook for a massive payout. And let's be real, Hollywood loves a good redemption arc. If Baldoni wins his case, he could come out of this stronger than ever, while Lively's career sinks even further into disgrace.
There's no way that this claim gets denied that what they did hurt Justin Baldoni's career and hurt his reputation, because listen to what somebody with that much power is now saying, and he's saying it like it's true about Justin Baldoni.
At this point, it's not a question of if Baldoni will sue, it's a question of when. And when he does, Blake and Ryan will have nowhere to hide. Ari Emanuel's leaked confession alone is a legal nightmare for them. His own words confirm that Lively and Reynolds pushed to have Baldoni fired. That's textbook defamation and tortious interference with a career.
They said, oh, they had nothing to do with WME dropping him. This just proves that they lied. So Ari, in his maybe suffering from the same narcissistic condition as Ryan Reynolds, became braggadocious. He needed to be like, yeah, I'm so powerful, Justin Baldoni, and he just said too much.
And let's not forget, the whole world has receipts now. The leaked phone records, the failed legal strategies, the media manipulation, everything points back to Lively orchestrating a takedown. Baldoni's lawyers must be salivating at the thought of dragging Lively and Reynolds into court. And let's be real, Ryan Reynolds is probably kicking himself for getting involved in his wife's mess. He built his entire brand on being Hollywood's lovable, sarcastic golden boy. Now he's attached to one of the biggest Hollywood PR disasters in years. And if Baldoni wins his defamation case, that's the final nail in the coffin for Lively's career. Let's recap the utter train wreck that is Blake Lively's legal strategy. The judge completely humiliated her. Not only did he shut down her ridiculous subpoena requests, but he also exposed the massive contradictions in her case.
What am I guilty of here? Leading the pack of people, because what, we're psychotic and we're checking your filings every day? And we said, oh, look, yeah, she's filing for more protection to protect, she thinks it's confidential documents. We just read through this. We showed the public that's what you're doing.
Leaked audio proved her hypocrisy. The very people who fired Baldoni admitted that they did so because of Lively's influence. Hiring a CIA disinformation agent was a terrible move. Instead of proving her case, she just made herself look like a corrupt, manipulative fraud. Baldoni's career could actually recover from this. Hollywood loves a comeback story, and if Baldoni takes this to court, he might come out of this as the real winner. Meanwhile, Blake's reputation is in freefall. No A-list support, no public sympathy, just mounting evidence that she weaponized Hollywood politics for revenge. And let's not forget, this isn't even over yet. The next court date is coming, and if Blake thought this was bad, she better brace herself, because at this rate, her next round of legal embarrassment could be the final blow to her career. The meltdown is happening in real time, and it's only going to get worse. Will she survive the next round of courtroom embarrassment? Stay tuned. This disaster is far from over. Subscribe for more updates.